up at 4, early for me on a weekend.
I crouched down low, watching, listening.
The Everglades seemed empty. Nothing stirred.
Like being asleep in a lifeless world, waiting for something to wake you up. But everything was still.
Except for J.D.
J.D. was alive.
He was telling us something.
He was as tall as I was, and had the same color eyes. He stepped out of grass like he was looking right at me. I'd never seen a deer that close before. He moved real careful. I held out my hand to tell him to trust me, but he didn't run. He just looked at me. Suddenly, the sawgrass started to catch fire, slow and strange. I saw the flames in his eyes, and then there was fire all around. The flames made his fur a rust color, glowing like it was hot. I reached out to help him, but he jumped right into the fire. And that was it. That was the whole thing.
Don't think it means anything. Like we're gonna see a deer out here, because we're in the wrong place.
I didn't mean anything by it. It was just a dream, so I thought I'd tell you. It was weird, though. It was like I had to help it, no matter what, even if that meant myself getting hurt.
Just means I should have sent you to a shrink after Dad died. Now you're having nightmares.
It wasn't a nightmare.
Sorry, your dream.
You shouldn't make fun of dreams. That's how the spirit shows us secrets.
What's that, some kind of Indian notion?
No, some psychological notion.
Yeah, Michael, like Freud. You ever heard of him?
Yeah, I've heard of Freud. What do you know about him?
I know he's not an Indian.
Great. So what am I doing out here, freezing my tail off in the middle of the Everglades, with my little brother having bad dreams, and some Indian giving me psychology lessons? What am I doing?
Hunting for quail?
Oh, yeah.
When are we gonna see him?
Shh. Over there,
Where?
under that palmetto bush.
I think I can shoot him. What are you doing?
What are you doing? It's a mother and her chick.
Well, how was I supposed to know? Like I could see it was a hen.
Well, you weren't gonna shoot the babies, were you?
No?
You might as well have if you shot her. Shoot the whole family.
Well, I'm not going to shoot anything now, okay? Because they're gone.
Why are they so late in the season?
The weather. It's upset things.
This is fun.
You wanted to come along.
Listen, why don't you two go sightseeing or whatever, and I'll look around for the next set of quail.
I know a better place. I could take you there. Well, let's go.
But you're not going to pull the same stunt, are you?
If you see it, you can shoot it.
But if you kill it, you gotta eat it.
What?
Well, Bet's grandfather used to tell them that if you kill it, you have to eat it.
I'll agree to that. I don't shoot quail for fun, you know.
This is it, right here by these bushes. It's just like a quail highway. You'll see all the birds you want. We'll be over here.
All right.
Is he gonna shoot anything?
Not here. We're as far away from quail as you could possibly be.
Well, how do you know?
There's no signs. I like it here this time of day. The sun comes up, stretching and yawning, waking the whole place up.
It's getting a little warmer.
A little bit. Your brother couldn't track a half-ton pickup through the Everglades if it was leaking oil.
Give him a chance, Bet. He's only been a park ranger a couple of months. He's okay.
You guys, keep it down. You'll frighten away the quail.
Look, a deer.
You guys, I thought I just... Well, I'll be. You found one.
He's beautiful, isn't he?
The airboats are coming.
White man's awake.
He's gone.
Oh, Amber.
Surprise, big brother.
I'd expect you home till later on this week. What are you doing back?
I changed my plans and got us from the airport. No trouble.
It wouldn't have been any trouble to pick you up either.
I know. Where's JD?
He's off with a friend.
Is this in your uniform?
Yeah, I was just getting ready for work. Got any luggage?
This is it.
Just one bag?
Why, did you clean out my closet?
No, your room's the same as you left it. How's school? You enjoying things?
Sure, it's exciting. There are a lot of exceptional ideas. I even had a chance to hone in on your territory a little.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I took a course on wildlife observation. It was fun. And how's the life of Florida's newest park ranger?
That's a little quiet so far.
That's not what I heard.
Oh, yeah? What did you hear?
This thing in the Everglades with the deer herd? I'm sure the Park Service has its hands full.
Well, it is a pretty terrible situation, Sandy. But tell me about this class you took. What sort of things did you do?
We did some camping, watched animals in their natural surroundings.
Take any pictures?
Yes, Michael, I took pictures, and I saw how animals exist on their own. We talked a lot about responsibility, and what happens when man gets in the way. But it's clear to me you'd rather not talk about that.
I just don't want to fight about it, that's all. There are over 5,000 deer in that park. What do you want us to do?
There must be a better solution than shooting them.
Oh, we'll see. We got until Saturday.
Is anyone trying?
Of course they're trying, Sandy. Everybody's been trying.
Have they asked you to help?
Sure. Rangers, game wardens, we'll all be there doing our part.
We'd better get to work.
Anything I can get for you?
I think I remember where everything is.
Well, it's good to have you home, Sandy. We'll talk tonight.
Sure.
2 years of drought had dried out the Everglades, causing fires and loss of grazing crop. This was followed by a flood that further depleted the food supply for the deer, leaving many of them stranded on small islands. The deer were underweight, malnourished, and were slowly starving themselves to death. Rather than lose the entire herd, it was suggested that the larger deer would have a better chance to survive if the weaker ones were to be thinned out, a mercy kill. Well, when public opinion rose against this idea, one state official said, you can either let nature run its course or you can harvest these animals. It all comes down to whether or not you like the taste of venison. In fact, there seemed no other choice than to shoot them. No other way to save them. And in the meantime, the waters were still getting higher.
Hey, kiddo, I missed you today.
Sorry I wasn't home. What you doing?
Cleaning up, hoping it ruined your experiment.
Experiment?
The one where you let green stuff grow on last month's dishes. It looked like you had plenty, though.
Do you need a hand?
You're too late. Mug will help with that. You can fold laundry. So, what have you been up to?
Well, not much. I was out with a friend.
Who's your friend?
Oh, Bet, just this girl from school.
Is she in your class?
She's not in any class now.
She graduated?
No, she just stopped going. She was 2 grades ahead of me.
A little old, isn't she? Is it something romantic?
No, she's just my friend. We kind of pal around together.
Did Michael tell you I came home early?
No, he just said you were here.
Has he said anything to you about the deer in the Everglades?
You mean the one starving?
He's talked to you all right.
No, Michael hasn't said anything. I heard about it at school.
Did they try to convince you that the only thing left was to shoot them?
Oh, that's what they were saying, yeah.
Well, that's why I came home early. I think there's another way to handle it. I hope there's another way.
Are you and Michael gonna fight?
No, we're not gonna fight. We're both gonna do what we think is right.
Are you gonna try and change his mind?
I'd like to change a lot of people's minds. Make them think about what they're planning to do. And maybe see how we're all a little bit responsible.
That'll be hard.
It ought to be hard for them to go out there and shoot those deer. Don't you think?
I suppose so, but what do you think we ought to do?
Well, let me tell you what happened in Canada. Every year, the Canadian government lets international hunters kill baby seals for their fur. Well, one guy got an old fishing boat and set up a blockade. And 5 other people went up to where the baby seals were with cans of green paint and painted their fur so it wouldn't have any value for the hunters. Isn't that the greatest thing you've ever heard? They saved over 200 baby seals with cans of paint.
Yeah, but it wouldn't do any good to paint a deer green.
I know. So what we've got to do is come up with some other idea.
Did you tell Michael?
Uh-huh.
And what'd he say?
He said that I didn't understand the problem. That the best thing for me would be to go out there and see for myself.
Are you?
Sure. Would you like to come?
I don't know. I guess I ought to.
Okay, we can drive out tomorrow. Would you like to see what's on the news?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose we should do that.
All right, now your average buck is about 130 to 140 pounds and he's all muzzle. So if he decides to get up, you're in a heap load of trouble. Now that's why you gotta make sure that its eyes are all glazed over. Now once you're sure that the deer is down, you take your knife and you cut a slit in the belly. Now just imagine that it's lying on its side with its head down there. All right. Once you've cut the belly, you take the first 2 fingers of your right hand and you push it into the deer's stomach
Why do you have to do that?
to push the innards out of the way.
Come on.
I'm not making this up. You set that knife between your first two fingers, and as you slide through the hide, your fingers travel ahead of the knife, pushing the ends out of the way.
Is he kidding?
If you cut through an intestine, you can ruin the taste of the deer, JD.
Rabbits are different.
But rabbits are smaller.
Well, who could eat a deer after doing all that?
If you don't like the taste of a good venison patty, then you're a mighty tough critic to please. All right, now you're gonna get up to the chest, but you can easily...
What's the big attraction?
Michael's telling us how to skin a deer,
We're not skinning it, we're dressing it.
so we can make Bambi burgers.
Don't you think JD's a little young for that?
No, not really.
How old were you?
I was about his age.
I'm old enough.
No, Michael, you're older. I know because I went out shooting with Dad at the same age, and I was quite a bit older than JD is when I shot my first deer.
I'm not gonna shoot anything.
Besides, this is after it's been shot.
Yeah.
I don't care. I think the whole idea is awful.
Well, Sandy, not everyone agrees with your opinion, okay?
Yeah, this is Beth. She was kind of curious too.
Hi.
All right, you're gonna continue your cut up through the chest. But you can easily rip through that if you take the knife into both hands and you just... Okay, the pelvic arch. It's just a little bit different. You're gonna have to break that with both...
JD, I thought we were going to the deer preserve today.
I don't know if I want to right now. Beth's here.
Well, I can come by another
Stay
day.
put, we'll do this now.
JD, do you want to learn how to butcher a deer?
Sandy!
Is that what you want to learn?
I wanted to see what everybody was always talking about.
Dad's dressed here, I've dressed here. I don't see what the big problem is.
Besides, we're not using a real deer. We are only talking about it.
It's a good thing we're not using real deer. If we were, it would have spoiled by now.
Could you two leave for a second?
You are determined to interrupt us, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Well, I have to go home anyways.
You want me to come along?
No, that's okay.
Would you two please get lost for a second? I'd like to talk with Michael.
See you later.
What's your problem?
I'll tell you my problem is it's an attitude. The kind of attitude that lets you joke around in front of those two and discuss gutting a deer like it's some kind of locker room lesson on personal hygiene.
Nobody asked you to listen. Besides, if you don't have the stomach for it, then
I
don't
don't have
sit...
the stomach for it. Geez, I've done it, but I don't have the stomach to watch you pass that same attitude onto a kid that doesn't know any better. And I won't stand by while a bunch of misguided Sunday sportsmen go into the Everglades shooting hundreds of helpless deer.
This has nothing to do with that herd.
This has got everything to do with that herd. You give that kind of slaughter a sense of being routine or all right, and soon you have all kinds of kids like JD out there shooting down bucks that weigh more than they do.
JD's not gonna shoot anything. He's just gonna help me load the ones that's already been shot.
You're gonna make him do that?
Why didn't you tell me that?
JD, go somewhere until we're done talking.
This seems to involve me. I mean, sure, I'm a kid and there's lots of things I don't know. Dad always took you guys out hunting, but he never took me. So I'm dumb about some stuff. But I still got a right to make up my own mind. I should have a choice.
I was gonna give you a choice, JD. I wouldn't make you go if you didn't want to.
Yeah, when that morning, so I had plenty of time to think about it.
I assumed you wanted to help.
Thanks, that's real considerate. Can we save her?
She's pretty mangled, JD. I don't know. How'd you get her out of that trap?
I was walking by and I heard her wing flapping in the brush. So I opened it up and I took her out.
Those things are strong and mean. See here, the teeth on that thing snap clean through her wing. That's the problem. I don't know if we can fix her.
She sure is shaking.
She's scared. Maybe in shock, too. Might be better to kill her.
How could that be better?
To stop her suffering.
She ain't shaking no more.
She's gone. You did what you could. She was just too mangled.
Well, aren't traps against the law inside a park?
In most places, yeah, but who's going to come out here looking for a couple of game poachers with illegal traps?
I would, and Michael would too.
Well, sure, that's one of the things they pay your brother for. And when he finds one, he busts it up good, but that's a whole lot different from finding its owner.
Well, that ain't fair.
I never said it was fair. I'm saying how it is. Things die or get themselves killed without ever meaning to, while other things live and don't deserve to, like them poachers. If this bird hadn't come poking around that trap, she'd likely been got by some other animal. It's natural.
Still ain't fair. Mother Nature didn't put that trap out there.
No, but she's got other traps. And she gives all of her animals defenses to even it out.
That bird had no defense against that trap.
Well, that's true, JD, but it's dead all the same. Wishing it was different will only make you unhappy.
But what about the deer? What kind of defenses do they got?
Against hunters? Not a whole lot.
So shouldn't we do something to help them?
Like what?
I don't know.
That's why my sister's here, though. She's gonna try at least.
Is this the same sister that chased us off?
She was mad at Michael. And at me. And maybe she was right. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I can tell you what the Indians did. They lived with the deer and respected them. Indians weren't afraid to kill a deer, though some of them would say a prayer beforehand asking the deer to forgive them. But the important part was that they put that deer to good use. Every bit of meat or patch of fur had some purpose. And when they were done, they'd take the leftover bones and give them a ceremony by returning them to the river, which is where they'd come from.
Well, what good did that do them? They were already dead.
Well, yes and no. See, the water's where they come from, and so the water's where they could come from again. Those bones get mixed around and start all over.
Yeah, but making a deer? How are they going to become a new deer when the bones were always going to be in the river?
Well, how do you know the bones are there, and where are all the bones of dead things? If the bones just stayed there when something died, wouldn't the whole world be covered with them by now? You got bones from the beginning of time, J.D. Where'd they all go?
Yeah, but making new things? How'd they do that ceremony?
They'd take them bones and wrap them in oilcloth so they wouldn't dry up. Then they'd carry the bones to the river, usually late at night when the moon was dim, so no ghosts or spirits would see them. They'd hold the bones close to their chests, protecting them, making sure there was heat all around. When they got to the riverbank, they'd kneel down and sweep away leaves and twigs. Then they'd unwrap those bones, hold them out straight in front of them, and then lower them into the water. Last, they'd take a sprinkle of stuff from their pouch, ground up antler, dried pieces of hide, maybe even a handful of fur, and drop those over the water. Then they'd hurry back to their homes, letting the spirits do their work.
And that would make a new deer?
Every year the deer would return. And that's how the Indians and the deer managed to live together so long.
J.D.! J.D.! I thought I'd find you here. Why'd you run off?
Well, that's what I was told to do. What do you want?
Just checking to see that you're all right. What are you guys up to?
I found a bird in a trap. It died.
Oh.
What should we do with her?
Should make a good soup.
I'm serious. We gotta do something special, like you were saying.
Why don't you leave it out for some predator to get it?
Michael.
It'll go to good use.
Oh, Bet was telling me about this Indian ritual.
Something your grandfather taught you?
Just something I heard. Not from around here. Navajo, maybe.
You gotta take the bones to the river. Then if you do it right, a new bird grows from them.
J.D., before you make a new bird, how are you gonna get the bones out of the old one?
That's why we ought to make a soup.
Do you guys really believe you can make a new bird out of that thing?
I can't prove it. It's just something I always did, that's all.
But you believe it.
Maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. It's just something I do, J.D.
Well, I still think that you guys should leave it out for an animal to get.
Do you have a small shovel?
Yeah.
Where are you going now?
I'm gonna go bury it.
In the dark?
Yes, Michael, I'm gonna have a funeral, okay?
Isn't that kind of silly?
Well, it's no sillier than what we do. What do you think this bird thinks of us putting our bodies in boxes and burying them with dirt?
J.D., that's different.
Of course it's different. Everything I do is so different to you. You don't understand me. You don't even try.
You better go help me.
There were several attempts to stop the hunt. One federal judge did block the mercy kill just hours before it was scheduled to begin on Saturday. He issued a temporary restraining order, not to hear the testimony about the plighted deer, but to find out whether the airboats of the hunters would pose a threat to other endangered species in the Everglades Park. The restraining order lasted until 5 that night. A few minutes after 5, the judge ruled that the hunt would begin the next morning. Nothing could prevent it from taking place. You must be pleased. They're going ahead and behind.
Were you in court?
All afternoon. A lot of good it did.
I'm sorry. J.D., how'd the funeral go last night?
What do you care as long as it's dead? It's all that matters to you.
Hey, kiddo.
Look, I'm not any happier about this than anybody else. I wish there were some other way to solve it.
How do you know there's not?
I guess I don't, really. 6 months as a park ranger doesn't make me an expert, now does it? I just listen to those people who are supposed to be the experts, and this is all they could come up with.
Michael, the park was set up in 1947 as a key deer preserve. These animals were almost extinct 50 years ago.
I know, and that could happen again.
That could happen this weekend.
It's not gonna happen this weekend because we'll be there to control it. But it could happen next year or the following year. If something isn't done now to help them.
Haven't you done enough already?
Are you blaming me for this?
I'm blaming everyone. We built canals, rerouted the water.
They made mistakes,
They
Sandy.
did it on purpose. We should have seen what was happening.
Well, it's not doing any good to get angry now.
Why shouldn't I be angry, Michael? Because of land development, corporate profits. Sure, they're great for the economy, but meanwhile, those deer are starving.
All right. Maybe we should have seen it coming, but nobody did, now did they? You're right, Sandy. The deer are dying out there, and all I'm saying is now we have to do something to help them.
Why can't we move them?
They've tried that before, JD, and all you do is end up with as many dead deer as if you shot them.
Well, why do we have to shoot them?
I know you're not going to accept this, but there's just no other way. I wish there were. People who know a lot more about the situation than I do have looked at it, and this is all they could come up with. Do you want to know my first thought when I heard about the problem? I wanted to build a bridge, a big, giant deer bridge, so we could herd them out of the park. You wouldn't have to worry about loading them on trucks or planes, and you can move them safely across the flooded areas to different sections with more food.
Well, why can't they do that? That's a great idea.
Even if you could move them, JD, there's no place in the park to put them.
Well, there are other parks. Why can't they move them there?
You could for a while, but then they'd have to come back. What about then?
Well, you'd have the deer bridge, and you can move them back when it was safe and there was more food.
What about disease, JD? A lot of the deer are sick.
So we gotta take care of them now, and let them take care of themselves. There's no reason to shoot them.
Tell them the real reason no one's building a bridge, Michael. Because it's inconvenient and it costs money.
It's a good idea.
But a good idea takes time to plan, and we've run out of time. That's why no one's building a bridge.
If you really cared, you'd find a way.
But I do care. I wish I could go out there and save them all, but I can't. So I have to go out there and do something tomorrow that I really don't care to do.
Well, I don't have to help you.
No, you don't, JD.
Yeah, Sandra and I will show you they can be saved.
Or at least make people look at it, so it doesn't happen again.
What does that mean?
Well, if this is gonna happen, and it looks like no amount of protesting will stop it from happening, then what we need to do is make this a warning.
I thought you cared.
I do, JD. I listened all afternoon to good arguments on why we shouldn't shoot them. But it's out of our hands now.
What about the seals?
Different problem. And they're making a difference, but it did take time.
That's what I've been saying all the time.
Neither one of you cares.
We do.
Not enough.
JD, where are you going?
I'm not gonna tell you because you just come looking for me.
Well, whether you're helping me or Sandy, be ready early.
No,
The least we can do is drive over together.
I'm not going with either of you.
The night before the hunt, I had a dream. I was standing in the water at the Everglades with sawgrass weaving around me like a whistling breeze. The water was cold just before morning. I was looking at a dark shape, standing across from me in a small hummock of land in the middle of the water. The grassy waters, the Indians called it. And the dark shape was a deer, a 9-pointer, proud. The sun came up red as ever, a shimmering light on the water. Then that deer and his island started to sink into red waves. And as he was sinking, I felt the water around me slowly rise like I was sinking too. But it was cold. I watched him and he never moved. His head stayed still and proud the whole while. When he'd sunk out of sight, I started to swim. I climbed on the land and let the sun try to warm me. I wrung out my clothes and laid them on rocks. And I woke up thinking he was supposed to die. I never remembered a dream like that before. Sunday at 6 a.m. The hunt started, and I forgot about dreams for a while.
Everybody was telling me what they thought and what I should think. But nobody listened and nobody seemed to care. I got mad and confused. Then I ran away.
I woke up early to check my gun. I had cleaned it and oiled it the night before, but I woke up unsure of myself. I went over everything, several times.
I stood on the porch, smelling the air. Sounds outside had come to life, but the house seemed strangely empty. I checked JD's room.
Maybe I didn't understand the problem, but I still wanted to do something. I wanted to prove that I could make a difference. And I knew that finding that deer was the answer.
Michael, JD's gone.
Come on, I think I know where we can find it.
I went to the wildfire park that Bet had showed us, with rusty barbed wire and tangled roots, but I wanted to save that deer.
We walked carefully.
Spoke more quietly.
I waited a long time. The glades were very still, and then he came out from the bushes.
We stepped into the bushes.
The deer.
That clearing.
He saw me.
We saw him, and what he was looking at.
In front of JD, a deer stood calmly.
Everything was so quiet. I didn't even want to breathe. I didn't want to frighten him. But he took a step forward. I thought for a moment he knew why I was here, that I wanted to help him, and that if one of them followed me, maybe the others would too. I held out my hand to tell him to trust me.
They touched JD's hand.
I've never seen a wild deer do anything like that before.
He touched my hand.
JD!
They shot him.
No, they're too far away. They just spooked it.
It's caught in the barbed wire.
We gotta get it free.
Watch out for its hooves.
It's all tangled up.
Cut the wire.
It doesn't understand. It won't let us close enough.
Stand back, it'll kick you.
But it's in pain. Can't you do anything?
I think its leg is broken.
It's gonna tear its hide off and all that wire.
Do something.
JD ran away. For the second time that day. Perhaps to see Bet, but I think to be by himself. I don't know, because we never talked about it. Looking down at that deer, I realized how guilty Michael must have felt. I wanted to go to him, but had no idea what to say. So I didn't say anything. We walked back to the house, and I called the airport. Made a reservation to go home. Back to school.
I had to shoot that deer. It was suffering. I've never seen anything fight for its life with that kind of determination. Sandra and I walked home together, but we didn't talk. I went into my room and I sat in Dad's old rocking chair. I stared at the ceiling for what seemed like hours. Dave called. He asked if I needed a ride to the site. I told him I wasn't feeling very well, and I just have to pass for today.
The hunt began at dawn the first day. By 5 o'clock that night, 581 deer had been killed. State biologists examining the deer said that starvation and disease had already taken a catastrophic toll, and it was estimated that hundreds of deer would have died within the next 2 weeks without the hunt. About 24 protesters showed up, but they kept in mostly a silent and peaceful vigil. One group organized an airlift, hoping to save 100 deer, proving the animals could be moved safely. They rescued 19. The hunt will stop after 2 days. 2 days short of the planned 4-day shooting. 720 deer had been killed. Approximately 3,800 remain.